Hey, what's up, Toilet Water Squad? I'm Big P, and I'm streaming out some Pretzel-Poppin Cinna-Cheesecake ice cream.
Attempt number 3.
Yeah, this is my third attempt trying to perfect this recipe, I guess. I don't know. I didn't film the first attempt, so you won't find that because that was before I was filming things. But a quick summary of my problems from before. The ice cream came out too hard, and that was partially because I had some things configured wrong in the ice cream calculator, and the ice cream didn't taste cheesecakey enough, at least in my opinion. And then I also made a cinnamon sugar pretzel like crust, like a cheesecake crust, and that was too crumbly, and it was also prone to getting soggy in the ice cream. So I tried to fix these things in the new recipe in this video. So we're starting off with the pretzel crust mix-in. All of the ingredient amounts for everything will be in the description, but I'm just adding all of the dry ingredients to the food processor right now. So that's 170 grams of pretzels, 65 grams of sugar, and 1 gram of ground cinnamon. After that was all processed, I melted some butter in a pan, and then I put the cream cheese in that butter, and I melted that too. That was to soften it, and then maybe I melted it too much. It wasn't softening enough, so I put it on the stove, and possibly melted it too much. I'm not really sure. If anybody knows, please let me know. But that was 1 stick of unsalted butter, 30 grams of cream cheese from like a block, not from a tub, and 5 grams of molasses. The cream cheese that comes in the block is less liquidy than the cream cheese that comes in the tub, so that's why I'm specifying that. They're different things. And if you don't want to buy Blackstrap molasses, you can probably just replace like 20 grams of the granulated sugar with brown sugar, and then just add another 5 grams of it, because I don't buy brown sugar anymore because it's just molasses and granulated sugar mixed together, and it kept getting hard in my pantry, so I just make it whenever I need it now. But when I'm making ice cream and stuff, I usually just pour it in instead of creating brown sugar, because it's all mixing together anyway. Maybe that's not right, but it's working and it's tasting good. But yeah, once the wet ingredients are all mixed together, add them to the dry ingredients and process it, and then press it down into like a small sheet tray. I guess I should go measure that. And then I put it in my toaster oven at 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 12 to 15 minutes. You want to make sure that you do a good job of like packing it all down, just to make it less crumbly in the future, so that it's, you know, more together. And just to be clear, I'm baking it in my toaster oven, so yeah, you can just put it in the oven. I'm not toasting it, just that's what I'm clarifying. But that pan is about 10 by 9 inches. It doesn't, you know, just get like a small pan, and then when it's like golden brown around the edges, take it out and let it cool for at least 45 minutes before you cut into it, so that it doesn't crumble, so it crumbles less. Now on to the cream cheese swirl. I don't know if I mentioned yet that I made a cream cheese swirl for this version of it to try and make it taste more cheesecakey, and it did work, but I also did make other changes too, so I'm not sure which changes. I'm not sure if all the changes were necessary, but I made them and it's good. So into the bowl of a stand mixer, you're gonna wanna put 75 grams of block cream cheese, 20 grams of milk, 25 grams of sugar, 2 grams of lemon juice, 1 gram of vanilla extract, and I put in a half a gram of salt, and that worked out. And then you just want to mix it all up. I read on Reddit very soon after recording this that this is the wrong type of attachment that you want to use for that. You want to use a paddle attachment. So yeah, it's not working for me. So I end up taking it out and just whisking it by hand, which I guess is, I mean, I was worried that it was, oh yeah, I forgot I actually did use the paddle attachment. Never mind then. I don't know. I think my things just messed up. I might need to recalibrate my KitchenAid so that it touches the bottom of the bowl or something. I don't know. But I end up whisking it. And if you don't have a stand mixer, then just whisk it. And then put it in a container and put it in the fridge until you're ready to use it. This should be easier to swirl through the ice cream than the peanut butter ripple from that chocolate Reese's Pieces video that I made. So you shouldn't have to warm it up ahead of time. Now onto the actual ice cream. I'm starting off with my sugar and my stabilizers. You don't have to use the stabilizers. I'll put notes in the description about that. You can also use xanthan gum instead of the stabilizers that I use, because I know a lot of people use that instead of what I use. So that's 155 grams of sugar, 0.2 grams of Lambda Carrageenan, 0.4 grams of Guar gum and 0.8 grams of Locust bean gum. And then the final dry ingredient is 4 grams of salt. And then you want to mix all that together because that's important because you don't want the stabilizers to clump in the liquid. So after I added all the dry ingredients, I added some refined coconut oil, 23 grams. And I'm doing that might seem weird, but I'm doing that because most ice creams that I've made that have fats in it other than milk fat have been much creamier and had a much nicer texture. So I'm doing this to test to see if just adding coconut oil can create that same texture without modifying the flavor at all. So after the coconut oil, I added 50 grams of light corn syrup, 2 grams of Blackstrap molasses, and 15 grams of honey. I'm adding honey because it's a sweetener that it's more powerful at softening the ice cream so it doesn't get as hard in the freezer. So that was a problem that I had in previous attempts at this, is that the ice cream came out too hard. So after that, I added 435 grams of whole milk and then 160 grams of block cream cheese, which I think I cut up and put in the microwave for like 30 seconds to soften it because, as you can see in this video too, I have trouble melting the cream cheese into the base. But so that's a total of 265 grams of cream cheese in this recipe if you're making all of the mix-ins and stuff, like the swirl and the crust. And a block of cream cheese is 226 grams. So you're gonna need more than 1 block of cream cheese for this whole recipe. So sorry. So then I put it on the stove and heated it up to 185 degrees Fahrenheit because my stabilizers need to get to that heat. And also I was trying to melt the cream cheese. I was pressing it up against the wall to try and like squish it to help it like get smaller and melt more. And it got down pretty low, you'll see like once it gets in the bowl. But I decided to just kind of give up on it and like, you know, because I'm gonna be pushing it through a strainer later, and I was like, you know, I'll push it through the strainer and it'll get small enough, and then if not, there'll just be like little chunks of cream cheese in there, and that'll be fine. Dare I say good. I forgot to say that I added a cinnamon stick when I was heating it up. It might be better, I broke it up and added it, but it might be better to add it after heating it up, like right now. Just because it'll make it easier to stir and try to break up the cream cheese. And if you don't have cinnamon sticks, you can just sprinkle some cinnamon in there, some ground cinnamon. It'll work. After I take it off the heat, I add 235 grams of heavy whipping cream and 7 grams of vanilla extract, which is about 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. After you get that all mixed up and combined, just cover it and put it in the fridge overnight. We still have to add lemon, but we're gonna do it in the morning. So at this point, if you've been doing all of this at the same night, the crust should be cooled by now. So I took it off the tray and cut it into small little cubes and put it in a container and put that into the freezer because we're gonna coat it, but it's better to coat it when it's cold, I think, at least, I don't know. But you can see that it's still pretty crumbly. It's better than last time, but it's still pretty crumbly. I think next time I'm gonna add more cream cheese to the recipe, the crust recipe. I might make some other modifications. I'm not really sure yet. It is much better than last time though, and it does work, so that's cool. Now we're gonna start on the Biscoff white chocolate shell. So I'm just putting 100 grams of white chocolate chips into a bowl, and I'm gonna put that over a double boiler just to melt the chocolate. And then I'm gonna mix 30 grams of Biscoff cookie butter into it and 5 grams of coconut oil to try and thin it out. To make a double boiler, you just wanna put a pot with a tiny bit of water in the bottom of it, heat it up so that it's steaming a little bit but not boiling or anything, and then just put a heat-safe bowl on top of it and stir it up, and it'll gently heat the mixture. Then I mixed in the Biscoff cookie butter and the coconut oil, and then I poured that over the crust pieces and tossed them. It ended up not being enough. I think it's because of how much crumbs there were. I think the crumbs took up a lot of the surface area, I guess, of the coating. So I ended up making a second batch of the Biscoff coating. So if you're doing this and your crust comes out crumbly like mine did, maybe just start by making a double batch of the Biscoff shell. Once it was all coated, I did my best to spread it out on a piece of parchment paper on a tray, and then I put that in either the fridge or the freezer for a little while just to firm up. And then I took it out and cut it up. I think I left the pieces a little too big, so I'd recommend cutting them smaller than I do here because, I don't know, they were just big bites in the ice cream. Once you get them all cut up, put them in a container and put them in the freezer so that they're nice and cold when you go to add them to the ice cream later. On the day of the churn, you want to take the ice cream out of the fridge and strain out those pieces of the cinnamon stick, and also strain the cream cheese so that you can push that through. And then you want to add 5 grams of lemon juice. Then churn it for however long your machine is supposed to churn it for. And in the last 2 minutes, add the pieces of the coated pretzel crust. And then while you're loading it into your containers, kind of swirl that the cream cheese mixture, the cream cheese swirl through the ice cream. I always think I'm doing a pretty bad job at the swirl, but then when I go to eat the ice cream, it turns out it worked out well. You don't want to mix it too much because you don't want to mix it into the base. Like, you don't want them to combine. You want them to stay separate things. You can eat it now if you like it soft, and then you could also put it in the freezer. I usually do overnight, to firm up to be like, like a scoop of ice cream. I guess I either deleted or forgot to film me scooping the ice cream this time. I did this the day before Thanksgiving, so I really don't remember, but I'm pretty sure I filmed it. I guess I just deleted it because I have so many videos now. I was trying to clear up space and I might have just accidentally did it. I don't know. I do remember it being kind of hard to scoop, but I think that was more because of the crust mix in than the fact that the ice cream's hard. I don't think that the ice cream was too hard this time. I think I did fix that, but I think you should cut up the crust pieces more so that there's not just giant hard pieces of crust in there when you're trying to scoop it. I shouldn't say hard pieces of crust. It's just like when you're going to scoop and there's like a big piece in there and like you get caught on it, like that like grips onto the ice cream and it just makes it harder to scoop. So I would say cut it up smaller. But that's it. As a review of the third attempt, I think this was great. I think this came out really good. There are some things that I want to change about the crust and the Biscoff shell. So I am going to make a part 4 at some time, but I'm not sure when. Maybe soon. But I think the ice cream came out really well. It was really cheesecakey, and it was really creamy, and it wasn't too hard, and I think it was great. I don't know. I would make this if you make ice cream. My main complaint about this was that there was too much of the coating in there on the crust. So I think that once I fix the crumbliness of the crust, that'll allow me to use less of the coating, and then it'll be tasting less like the coating. I think it might also be good with more salt, maybe, to make it a little more pretzel-y, although I guess cinnamon sugar pretzels don't really have salt. I don't really know. Personally, as a real human being, I think salt tastes good. That could just be me, though. But also next time I might use more Biscoff cookie butter in comparison to the amount of white chocolate, and also more of the coconut oil in the shell, just to thin it out a little bit more so that it's not as thick on the coating, on the crust. But that's it. If anybody got to this point in the video, thank you very much for watching. I commend you on your bravery for stepping into the danger kitchen. It's not easy.
It's dangerous!
Not many people can do it. Not many people can handle it, but you can. Great job. Bye-bye now.